This is Ravens Flock Talk Podcast, coming to you every week with their thoughts and opinions on each and every Ravens game. Tune in weekly and join the flock.
This is Ravens Flock Talk. I am your host, Brandon, and my dad joins me as my co-host. And first and foremost, we want to wish everybody a happy new year. Happy holidays, and hopefully everyone can stay true to their New Year's resolutions throughout the year. And let's get right into this game. We have clinched the first seed against Miami, who has had our number numerous times. This was a revenge game and a statement win on top of another statement win from last week. I actually kind of mellowed down this game because of the Waddle injury. But then I hear, Brandon Stevens is out. Kyle Hamilton's not playing. I'm like, man, so the playing field is now leveled. And they had Raheem Mostert out too, one of their star running backs. So injuries cannot be used as an excuse this game because we both had key injuries. And man, this Ravens team, with all the injuries, you got to think Mark Andrews is out. Keaton Mitchell, J.K. Dobbins in the beginning of the year. And we have just overcome, next man up, Ravens mentality. And I'm so happy that we got this win, and now they have to come through Baltimore, whoever we play.
Yep. Happy New Year to all the Ravens fans and everybody's family. I totally agree. It was an overcome, and that just shows you the depth that we have on this team. Mm-hmm. And as you said last podcast, that we don't have the standout star, but we have a lot of people that can step up to the plate and give a good game. So totally happy with the results, of course. It's a good Christmas Day win, a good New Year's Eve win.
Yeah. And
now we can sit back. We won the AFC Division, North Division, and number one seed. So can't get better than that.
Yeah, I mean, I had mentioned, if you guys have been watching the podcast, about middle of the season, I felt like this was a Super Bowl team. And then Andrews got hurt. And then I was like, oh, man, I don't know. I was kind of like teetering. I kind of pulled back on that stance a bit. I didn't feel as confident. And then Keaton Mitchell got hurt, and I didn't know what this team was going to look like.
Agreed.
But you know what? We've been hard on offensive coordinators, and I got to give it to Todd. I got to give it to a guy that I didn't have any confidence in because he was a college guy. But he stepped up. Lamar has never looked any better. And this team as a whole on both sides, I mean, I don't think you can really say one is weaker than the other. The offense is weaker than, they are both extremely good. Extremely
and they're
good.
Gelling at the right time, Brandon. That's the key, right? That's what every team wants to do is get together at the very end of the season and gel. And I think that's our bio right now. I'm loving it. Sitting back, watching it, enjoying the game. Mm-hmm. I feel like we've got the number one quarterback in the league, and there is no doubt that he should be the MVP.
Yeah.
I like to stay under the radar as a Raven.
It's hard now.
But it's hard. Now we're a target. But okay, come with it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I told you off air, there's no excuses now. Like, we can't use injuries as an excuse like we could in the previous years because they've been winning. They've been overcoming, like I said. Now you got home field advantage. Everything now is pointing on you now. This is the time. 2019 when we were in the same position, the problem with that was we couldn't really pass the ball. Right. And all year in that season, it was like, well, can the Ravens play from behind? Yeah. Because we would get the lead, go an 8-minute drive, score, you go 3 and out, and we do it again. Mm-hmm. Right? We keep your star quarterback off the field. We weren't putting up numbers like this. Exactly. We didn't have an offense like this.
Exactly. And, for the other teams that are going to talk about their injuries, their key injuries to quarterbacks, we know all about it. And so we've had our fair share over the last 2 years. And we've
played a playoff game with one.
Yeah. So let's not forget that Lamar has been out for half of the season for the last 2 years. So this is the healthiest he's been. He's more mature, in my opinion.
And he's focused.
He's focused. He's more mature. He's making better decisions right at the right time. And I got to say, earlier in the season, I was kind of a critic of him making bad decisions throughout the game. But now, midway to now, I think he's really improved. Mm-hmm. And like you said, he's focused, as he calls it, locked in. And it's good to see.
And like I've mentioned before, too, it's like not every loss is a bad loss. So the losses we had Indy, we had Pittsburgh, and Cleveland, right? And we all blew them. Yeah. It was all on us. Right? And
nobody
think about the
dominated.
amount of pressure, too. Like, let's say we win those games and you go undefeated. The amount of pressure. So you need a loss to really, like show you this can happen to this team.
Right.
And I think, in 2019, I go back to it because, again, first seed. And I feel like we got lackadaisical and we were solidified and we didn't respect opponents and we downplayed Tennessee. And this year, Lamar learns from that experience. Yeah. He's locked in. He's not taking anything for granted and he's going out there and balling.
Yeah, and he's become the leader that we need, right?
Yeah.
And,
And we have a leader on defense now in Roquan, which we didn't have at that time.
Everybody's comparing him to Ray Lewis, and it's a good comparison because of his leadership skills and his intensity on defense, which you really, really need.
Yeah.
And then you need that leadership on offense and good decision-making that Lamar is giving the team. And we're a balanced team. Again, I can't emphasize that enough.
And it goes to show, too, I know we talk about Roquan a lot, and he's like a good mentor for Queen, but signings like Kyle Van Noy, who's a veteran, played on the Patriots, played on Miami. Clowney, too, been around the league for a long time. When he got drafted, who was opposite of him? J.J. Watt. Yep. So guys like that go under the radar, but those are leaders in the locker room. And even on offense, OBJ, a veteran, right? So I get Roquan is a top guy and Lamar is lead by example, but voices like that, guys who are not your premier guys, come a long way on a championship team.
Yeah, it's experience, right? And they pass it down. They may not have the physical abilities like they did in their 20s, but they have now that knowledge that they can pass on to the younger players.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a lot of young players.
I heard on an interview Chubb said that. He said, when he was 24, he didn't know what he was doing. Now that he's 34, I think he's 34, mid-30s, he said he wishes he had the body of the 24-year-old because now he has the knowledge.
It's all a mental game.
And that was like really telling when he said that, as good as he is.
And it's unfortunate he got hurt. That's what I'm afraid of next week, and we'll get to that later in this episode. But why was he out there? I mean, the game was over. Yeah. You're Miami. Now you got a big game next week.
Even
for
Tua should have been taken out long before he did.
But I mean, think about it. They have to play Buffalo next week in their division, and they could go from 2-6. Yeah. And now your best player is gone. Miami now, you talk about a team that a huge blow. Yeah. Huge blow. Yeah. And I'm not saying that they're done, but oof,
that could really
that's a game-changing injury.
Them. That is game-changing. Those injuries, and that's how injuries are. That's the scary part about football. One key injury could just devastate you. So
So let's get into this game. I mean, like I said, I felt a little bit better hearing about. Not better in terms of, I don't want anybody to get injured, but in the terms of our chances of winning with Waddle out. But I did not expect this. I mean, that first drive, I had to reel you back in.
I gotta admit, I was shaking in my boots.
I was angry.
I was angry. Yeah, I was angry because they just ran down the field. It was so easy. It reminded me of previous games where our secondary was like Swiss cheese.
No pressure on the quarterback.
No pressure. He was just owning us in that first drive and those first two drives.
Hey, and I hope I say this right, Cheney, the running back, getting anything he wanted with his speed. I mean, he's like there.
You warned me about him before the game and how good he was.
Anything he wanted, I was like.
And I heard he was faster than Mitchell, so I was nervous. I didn't know much about him, but you did, and he really hurt us on this game.
But
he was a one-man show for them.
I tell you what, the adversity the Ravens to then see how easy it was, right? And now it's Lamar's turn, right? This is Lamar's turn, and we get screwed over with 2 bad penalties. Bateman can't haul in on the long catch. It's like I always say, you want to root for the guy, and then, like, come on, man. But he did have a good game. I mean, this was 4 catches for him is a lot.
But still, it's the momentum.
But real quick though, what I'm trying to say is our momentum, as you were about to say, got killed, and I mean, that Justice Hill dump off, and he gets the first down. Yeah. I mean, what a drive.
That's what I was panicking about with you, Brandon, is that it was the flow of the game. You just had this feeling, oh my gosh, not an M&T, not at home.
I know.
We
can't even get
rest
calls.
We couldn't get any calls. We looked flat. They were running down our throats. I'm like, you got to be kidding! Not on a game like this.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar does Lamar things, and it was just after that, it was just a pile on, a pile on of big plays. The Zay Flowers play, one-handed catch. What a call! 4th and 7. Now that's a playoff call, right? That's a playoff call.
Because they knew they had to score points against Miami, no matter what. You got to keep your foot on the pedal, right?
Yeah.
So, and
I like it with the one hand.
The one-handed.
It was crazy. And the run after the catch, too. I mean, he's very fast for a tight end. Yep. I mean, he is elusive.
Hey, how about Ricard's catch in the end zone? One hand. This is a fullback that's like 230.
We had like 3 Odell Beckham catches.
I know. Oh, speaking OBJ.
With the catch.
Oh, what a fantastic catch,
His
Brandon.
only catch, but, I mean, you talk about a clutch. Momentum type catch, right?
It was clutch
to
right
set
at
the
that
tone.
time. Yeah.
To set
and
the
OBJ,
tone.
Just before he made that catch, I told Brandon, where is he? And he never drops the ball. And he is that key. And, man, when he made that catch, Brandon, that was just, woo, we talk about momentum on our side.
There was a lot of plays in this game that really was like, it changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like in Miami's case, Tyreek Hill burns Marcus Williams yet again. Yeah. Marlon Humphrey, those two, our highest paid secondary. And Ravens fans, I hate to say it, but they're our weakest links in my opinion.
I'm gonna say
Stevens and Kyle Hamilton to me and Geno Stone are our best coverage guys, and they are not getting paid big time money.
No,
like Williams and
I
Marlon.
tell you, Darby stepped in and he had a fantastic game too.
Yeah,
and you know what? When Humphrey got hurt, didn't really care. I wanted him out.
I wasn't panicking.
And then Marcus gets hurt at the end of the game. He's out.
He never wants to be physical, make a tackle.
He doesn't want to tackle. I mean,
it goes back to the famous Saints play with the Minneapolis Miracle. Like, just make the tackle.
I mean, really watch him. Watch him on when somebody gets in the open field. He just does not want to be physical. He does not want to tackle. Brandon and I say, well, if that's the case, not Ravens football. And listen, you shouldn't be in the NFL. Especially on defense. If you're afraid to tackle, that's ridiculous.
And I get it. Everybody's injured. I know he's been dealing with injuries and whatnot, but
you can't play. You can't play scared.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, that's the only bad thing I have to say about this game is those two, right? Yeah. But what I was going to say was, the two big moments in Miami's case was Tyreek dropping that touchdown. Yeah. That was huge. I mean, killed their momentum.
Yep. And the fact they said the whole game changed after he dropped that ball. Yeah, because they were right in it, putting their foot on us.
That's an easy 14-point right there. We have to come back and score a touchdown to match, and instead they have to settle for the 3. So that was the first one. And then the second big one was when Mike McDaniels tried to be slick just before the 2-minute warning.
Right. Yeah.
And in the second quarter, I'm thinking they're going to try to draw us offsides and not run a play. He snaps it at the last second in Roquan, another one-handed catch. One-handed catches all game for us.
3 one-handed catches.
And a good run back. And a good run back, too.
Yeah.
I mean, after that, I was like, oh, my gosh, we got this one in the bag.
Yep.
And right after halftime, what happens? Justice Hill with a great kickoff return around like the 40-ish yard line. I said, this is over.
Yeah.
This is done. Done deal.
I mean, as nervous as we were before the game and how nervous we were of their potent offense, by the third quarter, we just knew we were just sitting back watching the show because they put on a show and they humiliated Miami on this game. There's just no doubt about it. But we did it with respect. I mean, we just kept and what I like is we didn't just start running the ball. We were still passing the ball. We knew we still had to have points on the board. My only criticism a little bit was, like in the fourth quarter, let's take Lamar out of the game, Zay out of the game.
He was still in, I think, with like 7 minutes left.
Yeah, that's not good, right? And now I hope they learn. You mentioned it, Brandon, that I hope they learn from Chubb how this game coming up.
And also, too, there should be no reason Lamar plays. And I get it. Yeah. Now, here's the problem, and let's jump into this, too. The problem is the problem in 2019 is we had too much time off. That's what people were saying because you get rusty and whatnot. You don't play a wild card game. So you sit Lamar, and I agree because Pittsburgh is too physical. You do not want to risk it. Now he's out we're not going to play the wild card. So you're talking, what is that, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, including the week that we have to play our division round. So it's tough. It's like, who do you play? But guys like Lamar, Odell Beckham, Zay Flowers have to sit.
Yeah.
Kyle Hamilton.
Patrick Queen, because he's
Roquan.
hurt.
Oh, yeah, he's been
hurt with the shoulder. So, you got to be real strategic with who you put out there.
Yeah.
And our running backs,
tough.
too, we have some on, I don't know how they can do it, bring them up on the practice squad or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we don't know
how that works. But, if they're injured, they can bring them up. So I suggest the Ravens that you have a whole lot of injury reports coming up, okay?
Yeah, me and my dad, we're not going to sit up here and know the ins and outs of what you can do and whatnot, but it's just like you are scared because division games are much more physical.
Right.
Much more physical.
And it's Pittsburgh. It always is physical. Pittsburgh and Cleveland are the most physical. I have to say even Cincinnati, all of our teams in our divisions is physical. People get hurt after that game, and I always said to Brandon, after we play Pittsburgh, both of us usually lose the next game because we beat up on each other so badly.
So many injuries.
Yeah, I mean,
like you're trotting out there with your second and third stringers.
But it's
basically
a good problem to have, Brandon, when you're talking about a layoff and what that means. I think the team is different from that team
in 2019.
In 2019, I think we're more mature. Lamar's more mature.
You learn from your failures.
And hey, we need the rest. I'll take the rest and get people healed up. Yeah. And especially that bye week. And then hey, we're not even mentioning everything at home. That's a big. That's major.
We did mention that, and that was the main reason. I said that too on a couple episodes. That's the main reason I want them to come here. Right?
Yeah.
With this team too, especially
look at Kansas City.
The advantage.
That was the advantage, and back in the day with Brady, always having to go through at home with them. So let's see how it is this year.
It's a huge advantage because it's like, think about in Mahomes' case, I didn't know this until probably a month ago. He has not played an away playoff game.
I know.
Everything has been
how
through
much
Arrowhead.
of an advantage is that for Kansas City?
As loud as they are,
I know.
You have to burn a timeout because you can't hear. I mean, all of that plays into effect of the game.
Yeah.
And
it's an emotional game. So when you're at home and the fans are behind them, even the players will say, a lot of times they don't really hear it, but then they do hear it, and at critical times. So it fires them up when they're maybe tired in the fourth quarter. Those fans really, the seventh man really counts.
Yeah. And,
especially in playoffs.
I meant to show you a video that the Ravens posted after the San Francisco win. Kyle Van Noy, John called on his name to talk to the team in the locker room after the game, and he was like, enjoy the moment, but remember, the job is not done. And this is a Super Bowl winning. I believe he won with New England a Super Bowl, maybe a couple. And that's why I mentioned guys like him.
That's a good point.
They
had that experience.
They kept the pedal to the metal. In the first drive, you were like, oh gosh, did they not take this game seriously because of San Francisco? And they proved us wrong in the way we were thinking in that first drive. Yeah. And it just goes to show, man, pedal to the metal now.
Yeah. And you know what? I can't say enough about Lamar, because post-game interview, he was calm. People were trying to get him fired up. He says no. He went into the locker room, and I heard on some broadcast that he was very mellow, and everybody was screaming and jumping, and he's like, "It's not done."
He's been here before.
It's
That's
not
the
done.
Thing. Like,
right.
You look at like all his stats, all his awards. Everything is there in a short career, right? In his prime, is besides a Super Bowl.
So you need that balance, though. You have Zay as a rookie. He is just out of this world, happy, in the locker room, and then he'll look over and see Lamar, and I assume he's going to wonder, what's happening here? So that's what a veteran does, experienced dude does. So that I think that is really going to help. And hey, it's pressure to be number one. It's pressure to be the MVP as well. Yeah. But look, it is what it is. Let's just go do it. Let's go handle it. The pressure, let's handle it. One game at a time, as they always say. And I'd rather be in this position than scraping and scrapping, trying to get to the game, trying to get to the playoffs. Yeah. So, hey, and there's a lot of teams left that are scraping to get that last seventh team.
Seventh spot. In terms of the playoffs, now we segue into that. Everything is kind of really set in stone. We're first. Miami plays Buffalo. The winner of that is going to take the 2 seed. The loser takes the 6 seed, right? So that 6 seed, whoever loses that game, plays Kansas City in Kansas City. I mean, huge results depending on that game. Yeah. 4 and 5, Jacksonville is going to play Cleveland. That's going to be in Jacksonville. And And Cleveland is a sleeper. They are a sleeper.
They have such a good.
I would hope Jacksonville wins that game, but I don't know, man. I don't know about
Cleveland
Lawrence.
is the sleeper. They have such talent on that team. There's
And
no reason.
They got newfound life with Flacco.
Yeah.
So you got to put pressure on him because he's not going to run.
Yeah.
You got to make him uncomfortable.
It's easy to defend him, but he still has that arm power, that arm strength that is top 10 in the league. I can't believe this old guy has such. He can flick it 60 yards off his back foot still.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I want to go back to Lamar on this game. I was so impressed, Brandon, to see the touch passes that he did over 30 and 40 yards. Mm-hmm. He wasn't just, he had such touch on it that I haven't seen in a while. So that is very encouraging that he's putting more air over when he needs to, like with the Odell pass. He's leading his receivers, and it's really, really good to see.
Yeah, Lamar is. I always recall when we went to the Falcons game when we played Vic way back in the day. I think Bowler was our quarterback, and how scared we were, and we haven't felt that in terms of Lamar because he's on our team.
Yeah.
And the fact that now he got better with his accuracy, with his throwing, because when he first joined the league, as Ravens fans, me and you were scared when he would drop back.
Yeah.
He would make bad decisions.
Yeah.
He wasn't accurate. And it's really just all his legs. Well, now he's got this throwing ability, and he's making good decisions and limiting his turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't thrown too many picks.
That's the key.
So it's like, how do you prepare for a guy where Stanley's not on the O-line?
Can you imagine his secondary when he rolls out Brandon?
Yeah, but you can pressure him, right? But he can evade it.
Yeah, exactly.
1-on-1
with him against a corner, it's over.
One thing is taken from him, but he'll find another way to then overcome that.
Right.
You got a good pass rush. Well, I'm going to buy some time, maybe scramble, maybe find a guy like Likely in the Jacksonville game where the guy's on his neck, he evades it, throws a dime. He is just the ultimate player,
and he's strong,
athlete.
and he's stronger than people think.
Yeah,
he can break tackles.
I remember when that picture came out, and I'm like, he's got some biceps on him. He's got some guns on him.
He came this summer with some guns.
Focus.
Yeah. He was lifting that in the offseason, got bigger, stronger.
I mean, this year is, as the end of the regular season comes, everything is lined up perfectly for us. I saw someone say the only way Baltimore loses is if they shoot themselves in the foot. And I give respect to opponents. Like I'm afraid of Cleveland. I'm gonna be honest. I'm still afraid of Kansas City.
Hey,
but I'm saying we're the most well-rounded team in the AFC.
Listen, there's 32 teams, so when the team gets to the playoffs, that's the top. Anybody can beat anybody, right? It's just that day, that moment. Can you handle it?
But if
pressure?
we're on point, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we have the balance, and if we can stay healthy going into the playoffs, in which we should, it should be really an advantage for us at home.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm not getting cocky because any team can beat any team. It's just you got to be focused and have a good game plan and stick to the game plan. And that's what hasn't happened in the past. Remember in the playoffs with Tennessee, we went completely away from the game plan that we had all year long. I can't see Todd doing that, nor Mike McDonald doing that. So, I agree. It's fun. I'm trying to sit back now, Ravens Nation, enjoy this moment.
We're fans, but we're not like pom-pom fans that are delusional.
Yeah.
We keep it real with this team because we've been through it. I remember crying when Cundiff missed the kick.
Yeah.
I was in 10th grade. I thought that was the year, I mean, the first competitive game I've seen of Baltimore was when we had Steve McNair. We had a home game against Peyton Manning, and we lost. And I remember the players. We had Bart Scott on that team, Kelly Gregg. They were saying that defense was the best defense since 2000. They thought they could go all the way. But the offense couldn't score a touchdown. They could not score.
Yeah.
That was the first competitive, because the Bowler years, forget about it. And then Flacco comes, and so, it's like you feel so much pressure. You're not even a player, but this moment doesn't come a lot.
No, and the optimism about it is on defense and offense now. Finally, we have a balanced team.
Yeah, exactly.
We never had that before.
Yeah.
Even in the Super Bowl, we won our Super Bowls by defense. We won by defense.
Yeah, it just so happened that Flacco turned it on in the second one in the playoffs, and he was on the money. But the first one with Trent Dilfer, I mean, all we needed was one touchdown, and we were going to win the game.
That was so dominant on the defensive side against the Giants. Yeah. So I remember that like it was yesterday. You were really young then.
Yeah, I was too young to remember. But
in San Francisco, to be honest with you, with the lights out and at the end of the game, that got much closer than it should have been, and it was, But and again, I'm not even looking to the Super Bowl. I'm looking one game at a time, one team at a time. Have a good scheme for them because every team is a little different.
Maybe like you say, anybody can win in the playoffs. Maybe it favors out where the weaker team wins and we get a favorable matchup. You never know.
Hey,
that's what I'm hoping for.
At this point, I've told you before, I don't care who we play. Let's play Ravens ball. Let's play our game, and that's what happened when we beat 49ers. Now Miami. We beat some premier teams. The Lions, who were
Seahawks,
were on a roll, and then I think our beatdown on them really changed their team a little bit going forward. So I always tell Brandon, just take care of business, whether it's at home or away. In this case, now it's all at home.
Yep.
We weathered the storm away. And this is the best scenario. Now everything's home.
And you know what's crazy too? I remember talking to you, looking at the schedule, and it was, what was it? It was the beginning of the Rams game. I said, we have Rams, Jags, 49ers, and Dolphins. Mm-hmm. I said, we need to win the two easiest games. They're all good.
Yeah.
But the Rams and the Jaguars, because I'm thinking we were going to drop one of those two games with San Francisco and Miami. And the fact they went undefeated.
I know.
And we needed to. That's the thing. We needed to get first place.
Exactly. We had to do it the hard way.
Yeah.
Look at the conferences in the South. I mean, they stink, really. Yeah. And we got to play imagine that, Jacksonville and the Rams, San Francisco, Miami, all these teams. These are premier teams. And not only that, they were on a roll. They had so sequence of wins, especially 49ers.
They were gelling at the
like
right
6
moment.
in a row.
Yeah.
And so those wins we can't be under
I'm surprised.
estimate.
I mean, I knew we were a very good team. But did I think that they were just going to win all four of those games in a row?
And I think Lamar willed some of those wins too because of his intensity, and the defense. Where they came up big.
Our last loss was November 12th against Cleveland.
Yeah.
And we blew it.
Mid-November. Think about
12th.
that. Yeah. And listen, the secondary is probably, in my opinion, the weakest aspect of our team. But we've got these young guys
that
came in. Yeah, they came in and are doing a really, really good job. Mm-hmm. So I just can't and talk about Darby enough because that was a hard spot to be in, and he hasn't even played. And he played his butt off. Yeah. Geno Stone had a great game and an interception.
Finally got a pick that we had talked about
after
so long. Seen in a while.
Yeah. So these guys stepped up, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to back down from Humphrey and Marcus Williams. They are mediocre at best, and they get beat. And especially Marcus and Humphrey. All of a sudden, I don't know what's going on with him where he doesn't want to be physical. He was one of our more physical tacklers. Now it's Kyle Hamilton that's making him look real bad.
Yeah.
So I just say, I don't know. Those guys, if they're not in the game, hey, so be it. Next man up to me.
Yeah, because these guys, Stevens and Stone, for example, have stepped up and made plays. And Kyle Hamilton, I mean, from his rookie year to this year.
What a step. Well,
you talk about Lamar level, step up that he did in his position that nobody saw. Nobody.
And he admits
he's almost like Palomalu to me because he's at the line of scrimmage. I mean, you could plug him in literally
and
anywhere.
Everybody keeps asking him, well, what happened? I think it just clicks. It takes a couple years to click in the NFL.
Yeah.
The speed of the game, his confidence is so much better, right? He can fly around just like Palomalu, like you said.
Yeah.
And he doesn't feel like he can beat. And he's not.
He's got good size too. He's long and lanky.
Yep.
He can give guys like, even though he didn't play against them, but guys like Tyreek Hill fits because of his size. Because he's got long arms and he's 6 foot 4, 3. So he's an X factor on. out behind Roquan, I think he's our second best defensive player.
Yeah,
You could argue
Queen,
Matabike.
Yeah, especially Matabike and Queen too.
Yeah.
I mean, those are our top guys.
Yeah.
But again, there's no standout like you said, like a Chubb. So it's like they're balanced. And one guy doesn't have to do it all. That's what's so beautiful about it.
Mm-hmm.
And look at Patrick Queen having an interception, having the angry run, as they say on Good Morning America. He got that award.
Well, that was last week.
Last week.
I'm
saying last week.
Oh.
No, last week. I'm saying Patrick. And now this week it was Roquan with another angry run. He'll probably get the award on Good Morning Football again.
Yeah.
So, it's fun. I'm happy. Now I can sit back. That was a good Christmas gift. That was a good New Year's Eve gift going into the new year.
Yep.
And now we can sit back and watch these other teams bang up on each other. And please, Ravens, don't play your starters at all.
I mean, some are going to play.
They're going to have to play, but
the key
guys,
guys is what you hope. So, and just we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. And it's going to be interesting. I guess we should have an episode wild card, talk about the upcoming matchup because we'll know who we play. I think it makes sense for us to.
Yeah, we'll Pittsburgh first.
I'm saying, but in the playoffs, because we're going to have a bye, I don't want to go too long, especially for our viewers and whatnot. So we'll preview.
So you don't want to give us a rest over? We can't get a bye week?
Nah. We got to talk about the upcoming matchup.
No, that'd be good.
We'll be watching all the games too, so we'll have a good synopsis on who we play and how we think we can win the game. So. Please tune in next week, rivalry week. But I know this is Pittsburgh's Super Bowl, and if we lose, they'll be talking about, we swept you, but we're playing for bigger things. We're playing for rings now. So we'll see what happens, and if we beat them with our backups, even more bragging rights. So I don't mind. So please tune in next week as we will be with you against Pittsburgh.